What's up, guys? Here's my roar for Genesis and Casey and the Sunshine Band. Jim, I didn't look up Casey. I don't know what the hell that means. I thought it might be Casey, like Casey, and they went with Casey, the letters. I don't know. I didn't look it up. So, I don't know where to begin. Casey and the Sunshine Band wins 2-1. And these are the exciting votes because the third party, which was Don, who had the deciding vote, and he was down to the last second, made it for some little bit of drama there. So Casey wins 2-1. What else? Where do I want to start? I'll just tell you about what my feelings with these videos are. I found these two really quick, which I was surprised about. And I'm very notorious for switching my videos last minute. I found these two last Saturday. I had a couple more that I had in mind that had actual saxophones in it. I thought like maybe I should mix it up more with not just trumpets and trombones, but throw a sax in there. But these two are so solid. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, fuck it. These two videos and songs were so solid that I just kept with it. I didn't really look too much more after Sunday. The theme here, the thing that everyone agrees with is like just how much fun both of these bands had. But then if you put them side by side, I think like Jason says, you can't really compare them. There's so much more energy in the Casey and the Sunshine Band song, but that doesn't dwindle how good Genesis was. So I kind of went the way I thought. I thought Jim would go with Genesis, although Jim had a tough time. Jason was a slam dunk with Casey and the Sunshine Band, and Don, it was up in the air for Don too. Someone mentioned Jason, how talented Phil Collins is. Holy shit, absolutely. And the good thing about that is look at the attire that they're wearing in Genesis. That is just some ordinary clothes. Was it Jason also mentioned the rugby shirt that the Jack Tripper guy had on? Holy cow. Just regular jeans, shirts, shitty normal hairdos, and just these guys were just talented as hell. The Genesis video is funny as hell. Casey and the Sunshine Band is more fun than funny. Phil Collins, I mean, he winks at the camera when he's on the drums, and then when he's playing the horns, that last part, like, he's funny. Jason mentioned about him being corny. I don't think he's corny. I think he's just an ordinary nice guy who just was always happy. I don't think he's that corny. Maybe once in a while. Jay, your Hootie singing right there at the beginning, it made me laugh out loud. It was so bad, but it was good. So it was pretty good, and you kept going with it. It was funny. You mentioned the Boogeyman. You referenced Jim in there. There's so many different references. You got Jim, you got this guy, and then you got the Boogeyman. Like the Boogeyman is supposed to be the scariest person around. Everybody knows the Boogeyman. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Shit thing to bring up that was. I had nowhere to go with that. I just think it's cool that there's different kinds of Boogeyman, from dancing to Jim to fucking monsters. Let's see. Jay mentioned the wood paneling. I noticed that all the time from the 70s. I think back in the 70s, if you didn't have wood paneling, that like you were missing the boat. It was like the M thing. Everybody had wood paneling. I know we had it on Wellesley Road. So you talked about other Casey and the Sunshine Band songs, and I did look up a few more because I was gonna maybe put those in. Shake Your Booty, which, God, what a terrible name for a song. Shake Your Booty is a great song, though. And the one, do a little dance and make a little love. I think it's called Get Down Tonight. Another great song. They were the shit in the 70s. So good. And actually, I think they're underrated. Because disco, you had the Bee Gees, you had like Burnin' Love, all that stuff. Well, maybe they weren't underrated. Maybe they were really a part of it. But it just seems like they'd be more of an all-time group, you know. But they seem to get lost. Maybe it's because disco died. What else you got here? You talked about people being fat, and if it had to do with fast food and cable, I think that's a great guess. I mean, if I didn't have fast food, I didn't have cable, no doubt I'd be fucking skinnier. And you mentioned the guy that looked like Jack Tripper. Good call there. But when he's playing the whatever one of the horns was at the end, when he's wearing the hat, fucking looks like Chevy Chase to me. So that's that on that. That's Jay. Don, you seem so distracted. I kind of felt bad for you. And then you had the camera just like stuck on your neck. It looked like it was very forced, which I get because there's not enough hours in the day sometimes to do this shit. So you looked very uncomfortable. You looked very distracted. Then you saw a girl with ass cheeks hanging out, which I couldn't really see, but that would distract me too. But you did mention how you like the horns. Might be the worst war ever. Jim, Jesus Christ, why didn't Jim, holy crap. This is such a big thing for you. Good luck, even though you said you're interviewing today, right? So that's gone. Let us know how it went. Holy cow. You moving would be terrible for, well, me, mom, and dad. Even though I don't see you, it'd still be sucky that I know that you wouldn't be down the road. But if that's what's gonna make you happy, man, go ahead and good luck with it. Damn. Cape Vincent. Shit. So send us a message. Let us know how it went and keep us informed on that. You talked about 30 years that you heard Casey. I guarantee it's more like 40 years. Yeah, you know what? I went back and watched both these videos after watching your guys' reviews. And you mentioned the anybody listening, and then they hit the horns. That's solid. That's very good. I wonder if any of you guys downloaded these songs. I usually do. I don't know if maybe half the time I download the songs you guys submit. I'm wondering if these guys made your downloads. It was good to see Phil on the drums and like Jay. I mean, that guy could play anything. And you were like kind of confused, which kind of made me think like, was he really playing the horns? Like, I think so, right? He plays everything. But who else would be playing it? And there was only three. That one guy is Mike, the guy in the bass. Mike, he was from Mike and the Mechanics. I forgot his last name. One of you guys probably know it. But yeah, how many men are in Genesis? We talk about 3-man bands. There's got to be more than 3 though, right? Oh, and Don, you mentioned Phil, Peter Gabriel in Genesis. I gotta say, I've never heard any of Peter Gabriel Genesis, unless I've heard it and didn't know it was them. But I only know Peter Gabriel solo stuff, and I only know Phil Collins and Genesis. But you are right. People that are like big time Genesis fans, that's all you hear about is how great, and probably most of them preferred Peter Gabriel. Which is the same way with probably Van Halen, right? Don't most people prefer David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar? I know Sammy was great, but I'm thinking most people that like Van Halen, like Jim must have liked David Lee Roth better than Sammy, I'm guessing. Oh, and Jim, you mentioned again that Get the Let Out. Well, the quality of those videos last night were fantastic, and you sent some of those last year. They sound amazing. They really do. I'll never go because, for different reasons, but that's awesome. If I was at camp, I would go if I had someone to go with. A funny story. I'm glad you brought this up. Maybe you guys won't think it's funny or not, but it just always stuck with me. Jim, in 1980, 1, 2, or 3. I don't know how old you were. You got for Christmas this big, I don't know if they called it a box set back then, a box set, but you had all these Led Zeppelin cassette tapes. Hopefully you watch this, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me. Okay, I know they weren't CDs because CDs weren't even invented yet. They were all of these Led Zeppelin tapes. And it was like a briefcase almost that you had. Like you carried, and you were so happy with it. And I had only heard of Led Zeppelin. And I'm pretty sure Dad had only heard of Led Zeppelin. We were in the living room, which was before the edition was put on. We were playing Atari. Dad, me, I don't know if Jason and or Don were in the room, but you were trying to get Dad to just get into Led Zeppelin. You're like, you must know who these guys are because they've been around forever. But Dad had no idea who they were. And you're playing a couple songs, and there's no reaction from Dad. He wasn't like he wasn't being rude about it. He just had no reaction. Then you're playing it in your box, like one of your big boxes you had. You hit stop, and the radio turned on. I don't know how that worked back then. I forgot, but the radio was on, and the song on the radio was, "I get off on a '57 Chevy," and Dad didn't know you ejected. It's like, oh yeah, I like that song by Led Zeppelin, and you're like, that's not Led Zeppelin. That's just a song on the radio. That shit to me was funny as hell, and it still is. Maybe you guys didn't dig it, but I thought that was funny. By the way, that song, which I didn't know until years later, I think that's Eric Clapton, right? Like, man, you went from listening to Led Zeppelin, and then Clapton came on. Dad knew who that's Clapton song because it was like commercialized back then. But I thought that was funny. Anyways, with nobody around here to laugh or chuckle at that right now. Maybe it didn't go over well, so I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else Don said. Don, you got vacation coming up? Jesus Christ. Isn't it nice just to have a vacation where you just stay the hell home and you don't have to? I mean, it's nice to always travel, but that you just get to stay home, do something around the house. Nothing. So I envy you, bud. Hope you have a good vacation. I know Alex is supposed to be going to camp this weekend with Bridget. Other than that, that's that. I won't bore you guys with my baseball speech anymore, but it's getting good. Guess that's it. Guys, have a good weekend. And we'll talk to you soon with Don's picks next week. Talk to you later.